have a number of questions. I will get to them one at a time. First of all, I need an explanation, please, for why it is that you look so much larger than Samson in all of these videos that I am seeing of your podcast, where you are how tall, Pablo? What is your height?
Thank you for asking. I'm 5'10" and 3/4 inches tall.
Okay, I don't believe that. I believe
It's on my license.
I think he's surprisingly
Pablo
tall.
is, yeah. I concur that.
What?
Okay,
thanks, guys.
Again, put the picture up. Not
Surprising.
Not since Billy Gill, not since Billy Gill sat next to Derrick Henry, have we had someone look so small next to someone so large. Although I think J.J. Watt has, is it Iron Eagle or is it Noah Eagle that he was next to? Okay, so he was next to Daddy. So this is Iron Eagle versus J.J. Watt. If I gave you the three of these in terms of size disparities, which Pablo
one wins.
Pablo, which
the J.J. Watt one looks like it's like the Hobbit technology from Lord of the Rings. Like they're in the same perspective. That's the part that's blowing my mind about that one. The other ones, I'm like, oh, that's just camera stuff. They are like right on the same plane of existence.
When did broadcasters stop using the booster? Because I think Al Michaels famously was always the same size as John Madden on that still shot, and that's just not possible. Right. Yeah, John Madden felt like a mountain of a man.
Pablo, from your most recent reporting, I want to know just which of the details tickled you the most, okay? Was it that Wong has been his college roommate, Ballmer's college roommate since 1975, or was it discovering that his daughter worked at Aspiration? From among those two facts in your reporting, which was the more delightful, and give me a more delightful one than that?
My favorite one is actually that his name is Dennis. Like, there's another Dennis. There's a different Dennis. There's another Dennis who, by the way, Dan, for people who are like, this is just more circumstantial evidence, and there are those people out there, as I wake up this morning bleary-eyed on my couch, having fallen asleep with my contact lenses and fearing retina detachment, which is why I'm wearing my glasses. I was frustrated. I just don't know if people appreciate what it takes for me personally to investigate an Asian American Harvard graduate who works in the NBA. Like, if I do this, that's how you know it's real. I feel like is the credibility I've earned ethnically. And so all of it being that, all of it being a story with like so many stupid on the nose aspects that feel incredibly predictable and for that reason shocking.
Was Ballmer roommates with Bill Gates before he was roommates with Wong? Is that
you want to recreate the common room of that dorm in which it's Bill Gates potentially? I have to do the fact check again whether Gates was in the same room as them, but they were there. Yeah, this was Harvard, man. This was Harvard in the 70s. Think about it. Titans of industry allegedly smoking weed for the first time and wondering to themselves, when will we ever own a basketball team that we will use, allegedly, to circumvent the NBA salary cap regulations?
Be honest here. When you heard Adam Silver speaking and going pretty immediately into, let's see if we can protect the owners here with the way that I speak about this, did you think to yourself, he doesn't know what I know right now?
Yes. Yes. Look, I the standard for why I publish things, to be very clear, I'm not like the Joker. I'm not like, plotting this in a way that's going to get people to, step into the trap I've laid. I'm not a supervillain, but I am somebody who only will publish things if I have the fact checking that meets the highest standards of publishing. Like, Dan, the crazy part about this, and for people who don't understand the power dynamic here, on the one side of this story is not merely the commissioner of the NBA, but one of the 10 richest people in the world. On the other side of the story is me and you and our lawyer. So the whole question of like, when am I comfortable publishing something? It's not that I'm like holding back everything I got. I'm like actively trying to confirm this stuff so that in the event of litigation or factual correction, neither of which has ever happened with my show, which is shocking, it's because we did it the right way. And so that's the smile I have, is that I had the smile of knowing that I think I could get this. I think this is a bad look for them because they're not taking the first report seriously. And I don't think they did, frankly. And so then you get to prove and hold them to account using whatever they want to communicate to the public.
Oh, I was telling them earlier that the whole mood shift of the Board of Governors thing since your latest report went from, no, we all love Ballmer. He does great stuff. Everyone likes him. He's on the finance committee. This isn't Donald Sterling at all. This is a guy we all like, and he's good for the league, and he helps everyone, and he's affable, and he's at the governor's meeting saying, yeah, guys, same thing I said on ESPN, nothing here. And then you report what you did. And what I was hearing 2 days before about that governor's meeting and how nice it was, that mood has shifted because the additional reporting makes it such that, oh, no, he's ensnared here in a way that's going to be I don't even know what they're going to try to do to try to explain their way out of this one.
I've heard many back-channeled attempts that indicate, by the way, we've seen since the first report came out, the best they got. So what they're not doing on the NBA Clippers side, if we assume their goal is to shrink the PR footprint of this, what they're not doing is holding back their most convincing stuff. We're getting all of it, right? Because Ballmer flies to Bristol Thursday night, the day after. That's how panicked he is, right? Just observing this, again, not the Joker, just observing this factually. So what happens next is that we get the best spin, and you've seen it. And it's incredibly, like, just paper, tissuey in its flimsiness, if that. Tissue might be generous for what they're trying to spin. And so the question now of like, okay, what do you do with this one? The only thing I've heard back-channeled, which makes me laugh very hard, is that Dennis Wong, who is an incredibly wealthy real estate magnate, he wanted to save his daughter's job by putting in $2 million into a company that was valuated, by the way, still at the time of his investment. I don't know if I made this clear enough in the episode. He was investing in a company that had gone into default, that had its independent auditor resign, that was facing massive seven-figure litigation, that was facing probes by the SEC and FINRA, the regulatory agencies. He puts in the $1.99 million, conspicuous on its own, and he does it at a valuation of over $2 billion. And so the question is, why would he do this? He was disclosed all of these facts in the paperwork. We have the signature, we have the document. So why did he still do it? And so the only head of a pin that anybody who wants to spin this has left to dance upon, there must have been another reason why he made a disastrous financial decision like that. It must have been to save his daughter's job. And I will just assure you that not only is that insanely nonsensical, because the daughter recently graduated from Stanford, because the company was broken and falling apart, because Dennis Wong is extraordinarily rich, it doesn't need to save his daughter's job at a broken company that is going into the trash can. It's also the fact to me that if he were to do that, that's a different potential crime. If you're just going to bribe a company to save your daughter with $1.99 million, if in fact that is the argument that anybody wants to go with. So I just don't get it. At this point in the story, I just don't get what people are trying to do here. But it seems to indicate that they just don't want to see the story for what it is.
I like how the internet takes your reporting and starts running with it and does its own version of Twitter sleuthing. Yesterday we saw highly circumstantial evidence of like how Kawhi was very inactive for the Clippers prior to December 10th, and then all of a sudden he played 82% of the games. Billy posited that, well, why would he care about a $1.75 million payment when he's getting paid $40 million from the Clippers? And my counter to that was, no, this is bookie logic. It's the principle. Because if they miss this payment, they're going to miss all the other payments. I know this is purely circumstantial and not maybe to the standard of your reporting, but what do you make of the theory out there that Kawhi's camp was very upset about this and it forced Wong to make this deposit, and then all of a sudden Kawhi started playing again? So
one big part of that is comprehensively reported and vetted and fact-checked and has not been challenged, which is that September gets paid in quarterly payments, $1.75 million. September comes. This is his second payment ever. Kawhi Leonard's second payment ever. September comes, September goes. October comes, October goes. November comes, and November goes. So this is 3 months late, is this second ever payment, right? And so the question then is, come the rescheduling of this payment to December 15th, how do they get the money? That's the answer of the roommate, Dennis Wong, and the only other, by the way, owner of the team, the only man Steve Ballmer trusts with a share of his most precious possession, Los Angeles Clippers. That's the, okay, how do they pay it? But the question then is, what's it like for Kawhi Leonard and Uncle Dennis Robertson? and the agent Mitch Frankel, right? Like the representatives of Kawhi Leonard. Because what happens is, what I know is that there are many calls that are increasingly furious because you're 3 bleeping months late on the second payment, right? And by the way, Ballmer put in $50 million personally a year ago. And so from a position of something is not right here, what I think is safe to infer from all of this is that the people involved with the Los Angeles Clippers were aware that there was a problem. And so then the next question is, if you're Kawhi Leonard and you're a master of leverage to a degree that has been, frankly, in excess and more effective in that excess than any other athlete I can think of, where he's extracting all these things from the marketplace of Steve Ballmer and not the Raptors or the Lakers, it turns out, but from the richest man in sports, how do you then make sure that they know you're serious? And so the sleuth thing and the connecting of the dots, I'm not doing that. I haven't done that data dive. Again, this is where I say, you guys, please feel free to look into this, do your research, do your Googles. I'm not saying this, but I think it's safe to wonder let's put it this way. If I was a Clippers executive and if I was aware of this, right, these are just the conditionals. If I was aware of this and I had a guy who was right off missing the last season for knee problems, I would say at the beginning of the season, finally he's back. Let's be careful. But what would be very hard if that same guy was complaining to these entities about how he wasn't getting the payment he was legally entitled to, the question then becomes the question of load management. How voluntary is the pain that you're expressing to your team as to why you won't play that night?